Hi everyone, everyone in the audience, but also hello everyone in the live stream. Hi Ricardo, we know you're streaming. We are honored to present you or guide you through our, let's say, behind the scenes of our GA4 migration and the big changes that we made with it. But first things first, I mean, we already got a quick introduction, but just for everyone here again, who's taking you behind the scenes today, it's me, Eric. I'm the product owner of data and analytics, more specifically focusing on Google Analytics and also the Google Tag Manager for Mercedes-Benz globally. And here with me is my lovely colleague.
Colleague or consultant. So I'm from a daughter company of Mercedes-Benz, and we accompany the migration in several aspects. So really happy to be here today.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining. Also, now Julia will quickly join you through today's agenda.
Yeah. So I mean, we already announced we'll take a sneak peek behind the scenes of the migration chaos. We're probably going to get scolded for using those words, but we don't care. It was a chaos, so we'll be honest. And then we have two deep dive topics, because those are actually things we did quite different than with any other migration before. So one is a more technical topic that Eric will guide you through, the server-side approach that is a little bit different than the standard proposes. And I'll take you through our enablement program and how we try to take all of our stakeholders with us through this change that nobody really wanted to do or expected. And of course, we'll have some key takeaways, so you also can take something home from this today.
Indeed. But maybe for some of you that might not know us or also might not know our setup or like the overall approach from a bigger car company, here are some facts for you guys to also get this presentation in more context. So we are Mercedes-Benz. We have a big digital unit called Mercedes Digital that is basically taking care of all of our online websites or platforms, focusing on e-commerce, on content, on all of the applications. Overall, there are over 20 business units also involved in this website monster, let's say, because we don't only have cars, but we have vans, we have after-sales business, and on end. In this, we of course built a big foundation in-house. So we do a lot of things in-house with our daughter company Mercedes-Benz IO, or usually called MBIO, which are mostly taking over the implementation part and a lot of the development for the website itself, but also, of course, for the tracking part. And then also part of the digital unit is Mercedes-Benz Consulting, represented by Julia today, for example, to basically help us understand our company better. But of course, we did not just do it ourselves internally, but you can imagine, since it was a big migration, I guess, for all of us, we also had support from Google, for example, as our supplier there. Also, we got a lot of help from our media agency, which is Team X, and obviously also from Tracken. So at this point, also thank you guys for your support in the migration and also for the invitation here. That really helped. But yeah, as I said, we have over 20 business units stirring the pot in digital topics with us. We have on our website, which we usually call Frankenstein, over 40 applications that are bunched together, and all of them have different requirements and requests, of course. When we started the migration, we had over 55 markets where we implemented GA4 directly. And I was not allowed to tell you how many websites we have, but there's a lot. It's, I mean, you could probably also check, right, if you have the time and if you are interested. We have a lot of markets, as I said, over 55 when we started, and then we are also responsible for the retailer parts. So you can imagine how many retailers Mercedes-Benz has globally, which is quite a bit. So, yeah, to be honest, thriving in chaos, that was more or less what we did, because we didn't want to do that. So at the beginning, when I started in 2022 as a new PO for Google Analytics, we hated the idea of migrating to GA4 because we just moved from Adobe Analytics to Universal Analytics. So everyone was quite familiar, the data pipelines were set up, and everyone was like, this is fine now, so can we stay here? But then Google decided to pop up with GA4, which in the end was good, but of course it was a huge pain. So we did like that at first, because as you can imagine, with all of these stakeholders, we also have lots of resistances. Also from data protection, as a lot of you might know, specifically in 2022. So it was a huge mess. It was a very big topic. We had escalations also to higher management. So yeah, it was not too much fun. But yeah, enough with the rant, I think, and enough with the complaining. We still got it done. It turned out great. We had a great experience, and also we did everything we wanted to achieve. And Julia will now guide you through the learnings we had during the migration.
Yes. So some of them might sound a little obvious, and I will not apologize for that because they are, but we all know that in the daily busyness we can sometimes forget the most obvious things that can help us, so I'll share them anyway. First one is include all the relevant stakeholders from the beginning. So get out of your bubble. We tend to kind of close down the doors if we have a big project like a migration, but we actually ripped it all open. We put all the media colleagues, everyone who has a high stake in this whole analytics topic, and put them all in the process and at the table from the beginning. Which also means share early, share iterations, keep everyone in the loop so everybody knows what's coming and nobody's like, what, I have to migrate in 4 weeks? Okay, that's weird. So I think a few speakers already said as well, talking is very important, and we couldn't agree more. It is a pain, not gonna lie, but it's worth it, and it's actually the key to make this work. And the same goes for enablement and training, taking everyone with you. You should just make it as fun as possible. I mean, we were a little stressed out by the migration ourselves, but if you go with that mindset and tell everybody else, well, it's shit, but we have to do it, it's not going to work. So find the fun in it, find the story that makes everybody excited about it, actually. Then, of course, with a setup this huge, you have to be smart about how to leverage, how to scale, how to automate. So sometimes it's more important about thinking ahead and see what step would make it easier down the road and not just get to doing everything manually and just running. And in the end, you will not make it alone. So especially in a big company like this, search for allies. There's allies in a lot of different departments within your company, but also with your partners, with your agencies, with everyone else. So find the people that are excited with you to make this a success, and then you can use their contacts, their ideas, their networks, everything. So these are like the meta-level learnings to sum it up. But to make it a little more interesting, we're going to deep dive into those 2 topics we promised. So first, Eric will take you through our sGTM approach.
Exactly. So since we are Mercedes and usually we do stuff a bit differently, we also thought, okay, let's have a different approach also with the server-side tag manager. And that's why we said, okay, let's do a server-side tag manager integration through the CDN, which is a content delivery network, because we had one bigger question that we needed to find an answer to, right? So when we started the migration in 2022, it was on the edge whether or not we would stay with Google, and we needed to find a proper way, also a technical solution that we could secure a good setup, a scalable setup for our websites, and to also basically please data protection. I guess everyone is familiar with server-side tag manager, and I guess most of you already probably have implemented it. Can I see some hands? Who is nice? Oh, okay. Okay, so you know the drill, right? So it's basically a proxy server to streamline your data, have more data controls, more flexibility, and so on. So I don't want to bore you with this because most of you already know this, right? So the regular approach would be to set everything up on subdomains. So basically that all of the requests would go through subdomains and then will be routed through the cloud, to the Google Cloud, and then later on also being sent to the respective properties. As I said before, since we're a quite big company and we're kind of responsible for both for the wholesale market websites and also for the retailer websites, it's a huge setup. And I think all of us, and we just heard it in the talk before, we don't like repetitive tasks. So therefore, we try to be a bit creative in a way that we could. And we said, okay, maybe let's scale this down a bit so we don't have to set up each and every subdomain for our sGTM approach, but rather make it a bit easier and leaner. So what we did was basically we already had Akamai as our content delivery network in place, which was great because there we had just had some discussions with the colleagues, with our allies, so to say. And what we did was we already whitelisted all of our website domains. So we said, okay, instead of calling the sGTM from the subdomain, we could also try to call it from a respective path of the main domain, which basically turned out great. I mean, you can see it here exemplarily, like what we did. For example, for Germany, it would be Mercedes-Benz.de/GTM or sGTM or whatever we want to please. So why we did that? I mean, I guess that looks kind of easy, and we were kind of surprised because also it was. Because we already had all of these domains listed and whitelisted and everything, so we didn't have to do like an extra work, an extra step. You can imagine also in bigger companies, it's a huge pain to go through all of the processes, so we were kind of happy to get this shortcut. And with, what that makes basically, or what that provides us is to have also a much easier and faster setup time. So basically we scaled down the manual stuff from a few months to just a few days actually. And the good thing as well is also the maintenance. So whenever there's a new market or also a new retailer more specifically, we can just add them to the overall entry and it works. Also, since then it's considered first party like in general because it's coming from the main domain, that usually also helps for tracking prevention. So that is kind of what we achieved. I already said some things. So what we did is basically we kind of reduced the setup time by about 70%, which made it a very fast and very good rollout for us because, as I said before, we needed to do everything at once. So we couldn't go to GA4, then include media and so on, but we had to do everything in one big step because that was basically the prerequisite from data protection for us. So then also, since, as I said, it's served from the first party or from the main domain, the cookie duration also is much higher, which was great. And also for us, server side, so we knew we wanted to do it, and but we thought maybe we'll do it later. So then we basically had to make a virtue out of a necessity, which was kind of good. What can you take home for you? Just going briefly over this because I think all of you can imagine. So check your setup. Don't always go with a standard approach, but also try to get a best fit. If you have many domains, consider also our approach might be helpful for your setup. Think ahead because you will always have to maintain all of the stuff that you set up. So it's not only setting the topics up and then it's gone. And then the general advantages from server side, like get more data controls, detox your website, get those tags and pixels from your website and put it on the server because your users and customers will thank you. And then also, to be honest, be ready for all of the new great features that Google provides with server side. Yeah, that was my part. So now I'm happy to give Julia the lead again.
Take it over. All right, so I'm not the techie of the two of us. Maybe it's obvious. My main part was to make sure that we take everyone with us, like make sure everybody's ready and maybe even excited about this change that's coming. So how do you do that when everybody's just gotten comfortable? Well, we sat down and we looked at what can we do to make everybody understand this new world. It was very important to us because we didn't want to migrate everything, have a great setup, and then nobody can use it. So we really wanted to make sure in the short time we had, it was like 4 months in the end, I think, for this enablement program, to give guidance, best practice. In the end, hopefully everybody can use the data safely and also with a little bit of fun. So that's why we decided to do a software simulation, but with a storytelling approach and gamification elements. So we consulted internally with our training experts. And in the end, we had a very holistic program. So we had on-demand learning, which is interactive. We have our very own certification process. So there's not only a Google certificate and a Skillshare you can do, there's a Mercedes-Benz specific GA certificate, which everybody has to do. It's mandatory for everyone. Like, doesn't matter, even the analysts, everybody has to do it because it's our specific setup. What we also did was a few live sessions around the go live and a little bit later to catch everyone, give them a chance to interact, ask questions. And we showed some use cases there. And we have a social internet community. I think this is a no-brainer to keep the interaction live and share updates, etc. So we have a short live demo. Yeah, it's working. It's really quick. It's just to show you that it's actually interactive. It's not just a PDF. We sent out everything you see was produced in-house. So we did all of this ourselves, which was actually also how we could speed the process up. So like the experts that could give input were very close to the people producing this and deciding on the storyline. That's Bitara, our hero. She's out to save the data because the data stream dried up. And along the way, everybody learns the new setting and how to navigate the interface. And yeah, this is our community. So it was very well received. I hope I can skip ahead, yes. So actually, the live sessions were very well received. We had a lot of participants, a very high rating. We'd also tried to do this interactive, like with quizzes and stuff. It takes a little bit of extra time, but it really helps engage the people that attend. We ended up with over 600 minutes of Mercedes-Benz specific content for learning and training, which was a little surprising for us as well, because we wanted to keep it short. But it's very, very helpful to actually train all of our users, which are from like a retailer who doesn't use it very often to someone who logs in every day. So very diverse group. And we also shared all the material with our main partners. So for example, the media agency also got the recordings and all the content we could share. And we actually had the first actual e-learning on the learning platform that Mercedes-Benz Digital has, which was also kind of cool. It was the most clicked course of the year 2023, even though we launched it in October. So that was actually kind of a Christmas present for us. So what can you take with you for learning enablement? How can you maybe adopt this for yourself? Try to make it a journey. Oftentimes we have this one-stop go-live event and then nothing. So it's really good to make it gradually, have several steps that build on each other, and also, if you have the chance and budget, keep it up. So right now we're also discussing, hey, a lot of people are asking about e-commerce. Can we do another deep dive session? So just keep doing it. Use known platforms. Not everything has to be new. So also to save time, of course, it's a necessity, but also people know the social internet, the Learn Hub was already existing, so change as little as possible and work with what you have to not confuse people more. Activate your network, because also other people are training people. So we also connected, for example, with the marketing training initiatives. There's a huge email list with contacts that we could activate for our go-live session. So they were really thankful, and we were thankful. Win-win situations. Make it mandatory. That's kind of a key thing, actually. Everybody was pissed. And nobody understood, like, I know GA. Why do I have to have a certificate? Why don't you trust me? But it was kind of self-preservation, because we get a lot of basic questions. And every new setup is new, even if you're an expert. And also, it was very just important for us that everybody can navigate this safely. So no exceptions for nobody. And then keep your learning targets in mind. I don't know if you noticed, like the cupcake and the wedding cake, not everybody needs to be an expert. Like, not everybody needs to understand the sGTM setup in detail. Most people will not need it. They just need to know, how can I use it for me and my business? So that kind of kept us from blowing it up more than the 600 minutes we ended up with. Just really focus on the basics. And then we get to say AI too, as so many speakers today did. We actually use generative AI just for, ideating, storytelling, and the whole Bitara adventure we provided to our users. So it was actually a lot of fun also to do this and develop this ourselves. And that's kind of, if you make it fun for everyone else, you also make it fun for yourself. So that's a goodie for the project team. All right, so we just have our few key takeaways now to sum it all up, and then I think we have enough time for questions, right? Yes. All right.
Yeah, so basically you already saw a lot of learnings already, so the few, or the 4 things we want to give at the end for you is, like, without a dedicated team, it's hard to get stuff like this going. So also try to make your team engaged as best as possible. Then for us, server-side tagging was the new standard for basically a lot of topics, from page speed optimization to data protection to also making our lives easier. Then also make it fun. I think Julia said it and emphasized it quite well. Every one of us is working a lot, I guess, so it's cool to have a bit of fun here and there. And then, don't underestimate your network and your collaborations, because basically that saved us while the migration. Because other than that, I guess we would have not made it in time, or in that good time. Yeah. So. Thank you very much.